we're keeping a focus on the growing cases of child sex abuse. JoyNews' journalist Maxwell Agwagba has unfortunately reported on countless cases of child sex abuse in his career as a journalist here at the Multimedia Group. Now, he sets the tone for our conversation now by speaking to experts and advocacy groups on what exactly can be done as a country to address this growing problem.
In 2015, more than 1,000 children were sexually abused. In 2016, more than 1,000 of the same number were sexually abused. In 2017, more than 1,000 children were again sexually abused. That brings the number to at least 3 children from 2015, 2016, and 2017. I have had the unpleasant duty here at JoyNews of reporting most of these cases of sexual abuse. A lot of the victims, usually when justice is even found for them, go about their normal duties with a psychological trauma still on their mind. Today, we bring you one of such stories. The sexual abuse of a Class 1 pupil. This boy had gone to school to study, but a cleaner in his school took him to an uncompleted building and sexually abused him. The trauma lingers on his mind now. Watch this.
She pulled my penis and Rajit to sleep on me. He put his hands in my anus and Rajit put his penis on my ear.
Voice of 7-year-old Kwame, not his real name. He sits quietly as his mates in church answer some biblical questions from their Sunday school teacher. We are now some meters away from the other children. The victim says the cleaner stripped him naked, lied on him, and inserted his fingers in his anus. He says he cried and endured the painful experience as his plea fell on deaf ears.
He pulled my penis and Rajit to sleep on me. He put his hands in my anus and Rajit put his penis on my ear. I went to tell my teacher, and my teacher called my mother and told my mother. It was painful. I told him that he's paining me, and he said I'm lying. He's not paining me, and he said she'll finish right now.
Pictures seen by JoyNews show bruises on the male organ of the Class 1 pupil. The victim told his uncle the accused stroked his male organ for a long time. He says the 7-year-old boy is traumatized by the October 11 incident.
The moment he get to the entrance of the school, you could say that he panicked. He panicked. This is a little boy, 7-year-old boy. So psychologically, it is building on her. If we, the parents and the guardians, don't do something to raise that early, it might grow up and then affect him. He pulled, he tried to jerk him off. So he squeezed and then pulled his penis until the boy started feeling some, sexual sensation, and then he started putting his finger in his anus, in the boy's anus. Alarming, because this is a 7-year-old boy who doesn't know what is sex. For him to say that he pulled my penis and he was enjoying me, you see, so at that moment, he has got a feeling of what sex is. This boy will grow up, if care is not taken, and with prayers, he will grow up and knows that the only means of enjoying sexually is with another man, which is very, very alarming. And this is a school that we have sent our children to be taken care of when we are at work, working. And then if the management or the teachers of the school will just allow them for the children to be, being preyed on, if I use that word, by anybody in the school, then it is very alarming.
Sometime last week, the culprit was handed a 24-month jail term, bringing finality to the pursuit of justice. But the painful experience continued to haunt the Class 1 pupil.
Sometime last month, I also reported about the story of a girl who was sexually abused by her own class teacher. In an attempt to flee, she fell off from a table and had a pelvic fracture. Watch this.
I am at the Kaswa residence of the Class 2 pupil. Family members are seated discussing their next line of action. Very close to them is the victim seated in a plastic chair covered with a cloth. There is a pillow supporting her back with her two legs resting on a kitchen stool. As she stretches in the chair, tears begin to flow. The 9-year-old girl says on the day she reported late to classes, her class teacher offered to teach her what she had missed, but ended up inserting his fingers in her genitals.
There were some children playing in the classroom where he took me. He sacked all of them. I told one of my friends there to wait, but the teacher disagreed. When I started writing, he came closer and rubbed his hands in my head and said my father has asked him to provide all my needs. He put me on one of the tables and started inserting his fingers in my genitals. It was painful. I started struggling with him. In an attempt to flee, my pelvis hit one of the tables. I fell down and later ran home with my younger sister. I was scared to tell my mom.
Mother of the victim says her daughter complained of headache some weeks ago, but was scared to tell her about the assault. She later confided in another family member.
She complained of headache some weeks ago and later talked about pains in her legs. I asked her if she had fought with anyone. We later took her to the hospital, where the doctor told me she had been sexually abused. She later narrated her ordeal to one of my relatives. The suspect's wife has been pleading with me to resolve the issue at home, and she even promised to cater for her, but we disagreed.
The victim's grandfather says the suspect confessed to the crime and later gave them 50 Ghana cedis to cater for the girl, but denied the allegation when they reported the matter to the police.
He told me that, I know the accused very well, and then the wife. He told me that he begged me I should forgive him.
Seriously, heart-wrenching scenes there, and it gets worse. Just watch. Stay tuned. When we come back, we'll be speaking to Christopher Latte. He's a senior program officer at the Department of Children for the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection. We'll also have another guest who will join us and help us make sense of this madness. I believe we'll have Burma Amankwa. He's the national coordinator for the Ghana NGO Coalition on the Rights of the Child.